Good afternoon, guys. It's Workin, bringing you an update on Bitcoin and EOS. We're going to be starting off with Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, guys, and Bitcoin has again peeked its head out of this wedge. I told you guys last time if price did end up breaking out of this wedge here, once again, guys, 6750, that was going to be the area that we were going to be looking for a possible reversal. Price came back up, didn't quite, let me kind of zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit better, didn't quite reach the height of this prior breakout here. Here it reached up to about 6742. Here we reached about 6754, so a little bit shy of the prior wick. Nonetheless, I'm sorry, 67. Here we reached about 6732. Sorry, guys, 6732 here, 6742 here. So about a $10 difference between the two. You know, technically almost a double top here. And we can see price came back up, hit that thing, and hit that that prior high, or just shy of that prior high, and then broke right back down. The good news is, guys, we saw a lot. This is a much more bullish move than we saw over here. Price did end up coming up. We on a 4-hour candle, we came up, held its ground here slightly, consolidated, and then made a second push up here. Of course, it was rejected by the bears, but the fact that we're still sitting here, guys, without a major rejection as of yet is at least in the short term a rather bullish sign. One of the things that I was watching, if we kind of zoom in here, we can see that there was a lot of resistance sitting in this zone here, this order block right in here. So let me get right on the bottom there. If we cut off these wicks, you can see there's a lot of resistance right here in this order block. Came up, the body came up, hit here, body came up, body came up. So we can see it's just penetrated by a wick through this zone. And now we've actually penetrated to where we've got a body on the 4-hour that's closing above this little zone here, guys. So this tells me that we may make another run at 6754, or excuse me, 6750. Not saying that's going to happen, just saying that's a bullish indication that we are just sitting here on top of this zone now, rather than a very strong rejection like we saw here when price came up. Very strong rejection, ended up falling all the way down to about 6520, 6530, somewhere thereabouts, before making another run. Now, pardon me, as I said, we are outside this wedge. That being said, we are still making, we haven't established a new trend, and that this wedge, throughout this wedge, actually since going all the way back to September, we've been creating a series of lower highs. So again, guys, we've got, if we look over here, there we go. If we look over here, we've got what? Lower high. If we look here, what do we have? Lower high. Let me kind of get in here. Lower high. What do we have here? Let me kind of zoom in. Not by much. We're only talking by about $10, but still, every time we've had a swing high, what has it been? Lower high. Okay, what do we have here? Every time price came up, swing high, what is it? Lower high. This one here, by only about $10, but still, what do we have, guys? Lower high. Okay, so each one of these, well, there we go. Each one of these, we've created a lower high, lower high, lower high. So we haven't broken that trend as of yet. Now we have obviously continued to make higher lows as well. So this tells me price is still getting compressed. And if we come over here and we look at the Bollinger Bands, we can see that's also the case. Price still seeing, even though we have this little breakout here, guys, overall we're still getting compressed. We haven't had a major move on our moving averages as of yet. Doesn't mean that's not going to happen, but especially if we come over here and we look at the daily, we can see the Bollinger Bands are still continuing to bottleneck, still continuing to get compressed, and really haven't seen any kind of a major move at all when we look at the bigger picture. It's only when we zoom in that we see that little spike. So this tells me that we are still building strength, we are still building momentum, and we can still have a major move as price continues to get squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter, even though we've broken out of this wedge for now, just slightly. Now, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see if we do end up retracing, which I think probability tells us there's a very high probability that we will. In fact, if I come over here, I pull in here to the hourly chart, I look at the RSI, we can see that the RSI is fairly extended. Actually, it just came back into about 67 or so, was fairly extended, just dropped a little bit in the last 10 minutes or so. Pardon me, I guess 30 minutes or so since I've been watching this. But what I'd like to see is I'd like to see price come back down, test this zone. Let me close this so you guys can see a little better. Test this zone again that I was just referring to right in here. I'd like to see price come back. Actually, that's not the one I'm looking at. Sorry, guys. I'd like to see price come back down, test this zone right back in here, test this prior low. We can see that this acted as support quite a few times. Support, price came back down. Bottom of this here acting as support. I'd like to see price come back down, test the bottom of this descending. What was resistance should act as support. In other words, the outer portion of this wedge. So price come back down, hit this zone, not create a lower low here, but can just bounce right off of it and then impulse right back up. That'd be an extremely bullish sign. If price does end up breaking down below 6540, I do think there's a very good chance that price is going to collapse all the way to at least 6450, somewhere thereabouts, guys. This is the zone I'd be looking to possibly catch a bounce, would be 6450 if 6540 does break down. And of course, if that breaks down, guys, every level along the way, I've told you guys in the past many times, we have 6380, which would be an extremely relevant zone. But I told you guys before, the area that I'd be looking to buy is anywhere between 630 and 6280. That $100 range right here, this would be the area I'd be looking to buy Bitcoin if it ever does end up getting down there. And I'm not saying it's going to. This is, as I said, guys, this is the fact that we had almost a perfect double top. Not quite, as I said, but it's in about $10. But you know, in an asset that's worth about 6,700, that $10 basically is a double top. So the fact that we had almost a double top here, price came back down and was able to hold above the what was prior resistance that is now acting as support, that prior order block that I showed you guys. That is a rather bullish sign. Now, it doesn't mean that has to hold, but for now, temporarily, it tells me that I'm cautiously optimistic that that this thing may make another run at 6750. Now, if it does make another run at 6750 and it fails, I think it could be a colossal breakdown to at least 6540 minimum. Minimum 6540, but we'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out, guys. But for now, I would not be entering any positions. If you're already in a position, guys, I would go ahead and hold it and have a very tight stop loss. But I would not be entering any positions at this point, guys. I'd be waiting to see which direction price or market makers were going to take this. If we come over here and we look at short positions, let me go to the 4 hours so you guys can get a little better idea. We can see that short positions in the last 8 hours have slowly started to stack. Nothing very significant as of yet, but you know, just a slow uptick. Looking at long positions, longs definitely started to stack, and then of course started to drop off a little bit when we had that correction. Nonetheless, longs have definitely started to stack at a greater rate than shorts. That being said, overall, shorts are still outpacing longs fairly well. So again, this doesn't really give me any idea which direction the market makers are going to drive price. There's really no incentive one way or another as of this point. But we are getting some interest on longs with that latest spike, as expected. But with this pullback, guys, it just tells you that smart money. And when I say smart money, I'm not referring necessarily to whales. When I'm saying people like you and I that are watching and trying to figure out what the whales are going to do. I would sit back and wait and see what direction they're going to end up taking price before I would enter any kind of a position. We can see we're getting a little bit of a bounce now, a little bit of movement. What we need to take out is this prior high, and of course 6750. Even this prior high, if we get a wick up here, I wouldn't be too concerned with it until we decisively break above 6750. If we can decisively break above 6750, again, by decisive I mean a 4-hour candle that not just opens, not just closes, but both opens and closes above 6750. That would be a decisive break. If that happens, I will start to get excited that this thing may make a run at 6950. And of course 6950, if you guys have been watching my analysis, that's the area that price has to break above. All right, let's go ahead and wrap Bitcoin. Coming over to EOS. EOS 4-hour chart on Bitfinex, again consolidated, very similar chart to Bitcoin, getting squeezed tighter and tighter. The only difference is we have not broken out of this wedge. It almost makes you think that Bitcoin is waiting to move until EOS does make a move. Wouldn't that be funny? I know the EOS guys are probably loving that, but overall, that's not the case, guys. EOS is going to follow Bitcoin no matter what that does. But hey, us EOS holders, we can hope. So again, we're creating a series of lower highs, higher lows, getting squeezed as we reach this apex. We do expect a larger move. Pardon me, guys. We have, last time we spoke, EOS was sitting, let me kind of zoom in here so you can see a little better. EOS was sitting around this zone. I told you there's a very good chance it was going to come down and test the bottom of this ascending support line, the bottom of this wedge within a wedge, if you will. I told you that would be a decent area to possibly stack a buy order for a quick scalp trade, targeting, of course, the top of the wedge. If you did take that, congratulations. I would have already sold. I did not take that trade when that happened. Actually, I was busy doing something, and so yesterday when I came back, saw what had happened, I I'd completely missed out on it. But anyway, guys, yeah, that would have been a good trade if you did pick it up down here at the support, sold at the resistance. Congratulations. But for now, we've maintained itself above 6583, which, in my opinion, again, is a rather bullish sign. The fact that we are above that zone, guys, is a rather bullish sign. Above, we can see this volume profile. It's a very relevant zone, and as of right now, we're just above it, still within the margin of error, so I wouldn't get excited, and we're still within this wedge, so anything could literally happen, guys. I told you if price broke up that it was going to come into this supply zone here, the top of which is 6.414, $6.14. I told you that we could see there was a lot of sell orders sitting in here. Price came up, wick, broke down, came up, broke right back down. So we clearly, this was a very relevant zone. And of course, price came up, hit this, broke down, hit it again, broke back down, but not nearly as significantly, guys. So let's see if we can make a run. If we can break above this this wedge here, and certainly if we can break above 614, the top of this supply zone, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign. I think a break above 614 would mean a very quick rise to at least 645, at least up into the supply zone here between 645 and 670. I do think there'd be a quick run between the two. Now we might get a strong rejection here at 645. If we can consolidate in this zone, that would be another extremely bullish sign. Not saying that's going to happen, but that's the area that I'd be watching. If price does break out of this, this is the area I'd be watching for a possible reversal. In other words, a possible bull trap where price breaks up, hits 645, and just completely collapses from there. But if we hit this and start consolidating, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign. To the downside, if price does break down, of course, the reversal area I'm going to be watching is right here at about $5.56, $5.57, somewhere thereabouts. I can see it breaking down, hitting this zone, and completely reversing, which would be the opposite of a bull trap. We'd call that a bear trap. If this does break down below $5.55, I think it'll be a very quick drop to $5.26, which would be coincide nicely with the bottom of this ascending support line of this larger wedge here. This would be the area I'd be looking to ladder in buys right in here, but I'd have a very tight stop sitting at about probably I don't know, depending on how conservative you'd want to be, guys. To be honest with you, if it was me and I was taking this zone, I would start to dollar cost average in here. So even, in other words, I would buy here, and even if it dropped to 496, somewhere thereabouts, I would not set a stop loss here. I would add to my position. I would go in very small here, maybe 15, 20% of the capital you have, not even 20%, maybe 15% of the capital you have, entering a buy right here and deploying a little more of that capital here, a little more of that capital at 473, knowing that we could get a very strong bounce at any one of these levels. Now, yes, if we do get that bounce, you will have missed out on the big going in by a portion. But remember, the name of the game is to save money and not lose money and to live to fight another day. There's always going to be opportunities out there, guys. You just have to make sure that you've got the money to capitalize on it. And that means that you're going to miss. And it's always going to be in hindsight. And in hindsight, you're going to say, I should have done this. And no, you shouldn't. All you can do is play probability, guys. So if you happen to only go in 20% on a trade that explodes 200x and you say, I should have gone 100%, that doesn't mean you made a mistake. Nobody can predict the future. All you can do is manage your money, guys. And so going in very small, knowing that probability tells you that there's a good chance it could drop further and you could add to your position there, even if it doesn't end up dropping and you say, I should have gone in heavier. No, because you're going to live to fight another day. You didn't lose any money. So just because you didn't win doesn't mean you lost. So keep that in mind, guys. The best traders in the world are fine with missing out on some opportunities as long as they're not losing money. And if you can overall gain money, then that's all this is, guys. That's all there is to it. There is no magic bullet to trading. You're going to miss some opportunities. You just want to win more than you lose, and to do that, you've got to be very willing to play the game of risk management, which means losing out on some opportunities but not losing money. So anyway, guys, so yeah, if it does break below 526, 596 is going to be the next zone. And then, of course, 473 to 467 has been a very strong support zone in the past. I would expect it to be again if price does end up breaking down to that level. But for now, we're watching it consolidate into this in this apex here. One of the very good things about EOS, or one of the very bullish signs I've seen about EOS, which is part of the reason I'm getting a little bit I'm still about I'm about 50-50, but I was certainly favoring the bears here until we broke above this zone here. Why is that relevant? Well, I've showed you guys many times in the past Going back to August, every time we've retraced to the 786 fib level. This was the 786, this was the 786. I've showed you guys this multiple times on all my past EOS accounts. This was the 786 here. We can see, if I'll just briefly recap you, if we go swing high, swing low, we can see price came back up. From this prior swing low here, where did price come back up to? Price came back up, hit the 786, just inside. Actually, it should, let me get right on there. Just inside the 786, ended up breaking right back down. So this was our prior swing high, hitting just inside the 786. Why am I pointing that out? Well, if that was our prior swing high, we continue to zoom in here as price gets consolidated and squeezed tighter and tighter and tighter, and we go again, swing high, swing low, and what do we have? Price broke above. Pardon me, guys. Price broke above, and we can see it just crushed, completely crushed, and took out that prior swing high, to where at this point, obviously, we are we've broken through and created a new new high from this prior swing high. So that's why, guys, we've kind of broken that mold, broken that trend of constantly retracing to the same place, and that tells me, guys, that either price is getting ready to break down significantly as it's just getting getting a little unpredictable as we reach the apex of this wedge, which is very, very possible, or we're going to end up breaking out to the upside. Either way, guys, we should have some resolution to this in the next few days as we get closer and closer to the apex of this kind of wedge within a wedge. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. And until next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Workin, signing out.